What's the matter? Lives flashing before your eyes? I'm vengeance.
You don't think I'm a bad person?
All I think is that I love you. What was your favorite part?
Welcome, everyone, to the Film Bracket. Stop clapping! Today, we'll be revealing all of the films included in the tournament. If you haven't seen the criteria already, every movie included in the tournament has to have been released in 2022. Before we get started, something to keep in mind. You probably haven't seen all of these movies. If you have, we're impressed. Contact us and we'll email you a complimentary ebook on how to get a life, you loser. Just kidding. Don't contact us. We don't want to talk to you. The point is, you can vote in this bracket for any reason you want. For many, it'll probably just be the movie they like the best. But you can vote because you thought the title was cool, the director always wears some neat drip to the Met Gala, that one celebrity you obnoxiously like more than all the others is in the flick, the trailer played a song from your Spotify top 10 list of all-time bangers, you name it. Vote for any reason. We're all here to have fun, and anyone who has something mean to say about something you like, then they're not having fun. They're having lunch. Alone. Probably. Because they're mean and no one wants to be friends with them. So, let's get into the movie reveals, seatings, and matchups, starting off in the upper left quadrant. Our first matchup and movie reveal is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, an unsurprising one seed that came out of nowhere last year and took the world by storm. An aging Chinese immigrant is swept up in an insane adventure where she alone can save what's important to her by connecting with the lives she could have led in other universes. Everything Everywhere is facing off against the 32 seed, We're All Going to the World's Fair. Reality and fantasy begin to blur when teenager Casey, alone in her attic bedroom, immerses herself in a role-playing horror game online. The next matchup includes the 16th seed in Babylon. Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt star in Damien Chazelle's tale of outsized ambition and outrageous excess, tracing the rise and fall of multiple characters during an era of unbridled decadence and depravity in early Hollywood. It's going to face off against the 17 seed in Women Talking. A group of women in an isolated religious colony struggle to reconcile their faith with a string of sexual assaults committed by the colony's men. Matchup number 3 in the top left quadrant is home to director Guillermo del Toro's stop-motion Pinocchio adaptation, our 9 seed. Pinocchio takes place during the rise of fascism in Mussolini's Italy and follows a wooden boy brought magically to life as he struggles to live up to his father's expectations. Don't we all? It's going head-to-head with the 24 seed in Turning Red, which follows 13-year-old May, who is experiencing the awkwardness of being a teenager with a twist. When she gets too excited, she turns into a red panda. Fun fact, there are only 4 animated films in this entire bracket, and these are 2 of them going head-to-head in the first round. The winner of that matchup will take on the winner of the 8 seed in The Fabelmans or the 25 seed in The Menu. The Fabelmans is a coming-of-age story about a young man's discovery of a shattering family secret and exploration of the power of movies to help us see the truth about each other and ourselves. The Menu follows a couple that travels to a coastal island to eat at an exclusive restaurant where the chef has prepared a lavish menu with some shocking surprises. Moving on down to the lower left of the bracket, we have 8 more movies. Kicking things off, the 4 seed, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Jenny Slate voices the lovable Marcel, an adorable 1-inch tall shell who ekes out a colorful existence with his grandmother Connie and their pet Lint, Alan. Once part of a sprawling community of shells, they now live alone as the sole survivors of a mysterious tragedy. But when a documentary filmmaker discovers them amongst the clutter of his Airbnb, the short film he posts online brings Marcel millions of passionate fans, as well as an unprecedented danger and a new hope at finding his long-lost family. Marcel will face up against Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the 29 seed, which, if these two were actually to face off in real life, I think we all know who would win this matchup. But Queen Ramonda, Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and the Dora Milaje fight to protect their nation from intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As the Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with the help of War Dog Nakia and Everett Ross and forge a new path for the kingdom of Wakanda. Moving on, All Quiet on the Western Front makes an appearance as the 13 seed. Paul Baumer and his friends Albert and Muller, egged on by romantic dreams of heroism, voluntarily enlist in the German army. Full of excitement and patriotic fervor, the boys enthusiastically march into a war they believe in. But once on the Western Front, they discover the soul-destroying horror of World War I. Trading the catastrophes of war for the catastrophes of rich people on the water, All Quiet runs against Triangle of Sadness, the 20th seed. Models Carl and Yaya are invited for a luxury cruise with a rogues gallery of super rich passengers. At first, all appears Instagrammable, but the cruise ends catastrophically, and the group finds themselves marooned on a desert island. Moving on to the next matchup in the lower left, Cate Blanchett stars in Tar, the 12th seed, set in the international world of classical music. The film centers on Lydia Tarr, widely considered one of the greatest living composers/conductors and first ever female chief conductor of a major German orchestra. But can the power of Lydia's orchestra overcome the return of James Cameron? After 13 years, Cameron returned with the next installment of his Avatar film series and the 21st seed, Avatar: The Way of Water. Set more than a decade after the event of the first film, learn the story of the Sully family, Jake, Neytiri, and their kids, the trouble that follows them, the lengths they go to keep each other safe, the battles they fight to stay alive, and the tragedies they endured. And finally, the final matchup on the left side of the bracket comes from India, with RRR coming in at the 5 seed. A fictional history of 2 legendary revolutionaries' journey away from home before they began fighting for their country in the 1920s. RRR is going to go up against Prey. On the Great Plains in 1719, Naru, a fierce and highly skilled Comanche warrior, sets out to protect her people when an unknown danger threatens them. But the prey she's stalking turns out to be a highly evolved alien predator with a technically advanced arsenal. We have now made it halfway through the bracket, and now we're going to head over to the right side of the bracket. We kick things off with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, an astonishing 2 seed and the final animated film of the tournament. In The Last Wish, Puss in Boots discovers that his passion for adventure has taken its toll. He's burned through 8 of his 9 lives, leaving him with only 1 life left. Puss sets out on an epic journey to find the mythical Last Wish and to restore his 9 lives. Puss in Boots will be facing off against the 31 seed in Elvis, which follows the life story of Elvis Presley as seen through the complicated relationship with his enigmatic manager, Colonel Tom Parker, played, of course, by Tom Hanks. Next up is the 15 seed Decision to Leave, the latest from esteemed South Korean director Park Chan-wook. Decision to Leave follows Hai Jun, a seasoned detective, as he investigates the suspicious death of a man on a mountaintop. Soon, he begins to suspect So Rei, the deceased wife, while being unsettled by his attraction to her. The second in this matchup is the 18 seed, Nope, the latest genre hit from Jordan Peele, who previously directed such hits as Get Out and Us. In Nope, residents in a lonely gulch of inland California bear witness to an uncanny, chilling discovery. Next up is Vengeance himself. The Batman comes in as the 10 seed in the first solo Batman film since The Dark Knight Rises in 2012. The Batman follows the titular character in his second year of fighting crime, where he uncovers corruption in Gotham City that connects to his own family while facing a serial killer known as the Riddler. Batman will be going up against the 23 seed Bones and All, which typically is what you're left as when you face Batman. Abandoned by her father, a young woman named Marin embarks on a 1,000-mile odyssey through the back roads of America, where she meets Lee, a disenfranchised drifter. But, despite their best efforts, all roads lead back to their terrifying past, and to a final stand that will determine whether their love can survive their otherness. We've now reached the final matchup in our upper right quadrant. Up first, the 7 seed, Top Gun Maverick, the long-awaited sequel to Top Gun, which follows Pete Maverick Mitchell as he finds himself training a detachment of Top Gun graduates for a specialized mission the likes of which no living pilot has ever seen. His competition is another highly anticipated sequel, our 26 seed Glass Onion, which follows Knives Out's world-famous detective Benoit Blanc as he heads to Greece to peel back the layers of mystery surrounding a tech billionaire and his eclectic crew of friends. Now let's move on to the final quadrant, the bottom right, and our last 8 movies. Starting us off in the final quadrant, we have the 3 seed, Aftersun, an astonishing debut film from director Charlotte Wells. Aftersun follows Sophie as she reflects on the shared joy and private melancholy of a holiday she took with her father 20 years earlier. Memories, real and imagined, fill the gaps between many DV footage as she tries to reconcile the father she knew with the man she didn't. The other film in this matchup, the 30th seed, X, one of 2 films in this tournament directed by Ty West. X follows a group of young filmmakers in 1979 that set out to make an adult film in rural Texas. But when their reclusive, elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast find themselves fighting for their lives. Kicking off the next matchup is the prequel to X, Pearl, who comes in as the 14 seed. The titular Pearl is trapped on her family's isolated farm and must tend to her ailing father under the bitter and overbearing watch of her devout mother. Lusting for a glamorous life like she's seen in the movies, Pearl's ambitions, temptations, and repressions all collide. Pearl goes up against the 19 seed, The Northman, the latest from Robert Eggers, director of The Witch and The Lighthouse. In The Northman, Prince Amleth is on the verge of becoming a man when his father is brutally murdered by his uncle, who kidnaps the boy's mother. 2 decades later, Amleth is now a Viking who's on a mission to save his mother, kill his uncle, and avenge his father. Jeez, I thought I had family drama. Next up is our 11 seed, Petite Maman, the latest from A Portrait of a Lady on Fire director Celine Sciamma. Petite Maman follows 8-year-old Nellie, who has just lost her beloved grandmother and is helping her parents clean out her mother's childhood home. She explores the house and surrounding woods where her mother used to play, and where she built the treehouse Nellie had heard so much about. One day, her mother suddenly leaves. That's when Nellie meets a girl of her own age in the woods, building a treehouse. Next in the matchup is our 22 seed, The Whale, which is already heralded by many as a career-defining performance from Brendan Fraser. The Whale follows a reclusive English teacher suffering from severe obesity as he attempts to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter for one last chance at redemption. We are now down to our final matchup of the film bracket, and it begins with our 6th seed, The Banshees of Inisherin, which follows 2 lifelong friends who find themselves at an impasse when one abruptly ends their relationship, with alarming consequences for both of them. Its competition, the 27 seed, the final film of the bracket, Barbarian, which follows a young woman who arrives at her Airbnb late at night only to find that has been mistakenly double booked and a strange man is already staying there. Against her better judgment, she decides to stay the night anyway, but soon discovers that there's much more to be afraid of in the house than the other house guest. And with that, we wrap up our bracket reveal. If it's not already, the full bracket, with all 32 films and their matchups, will be posted on the Film Bracket Instagram very shortly. When the matchups start, our polling will take place on Instagram and a few other places in order to get the most responses. If you have any questions, or just want to express your excitement, reach out to us on Instagram. Despite what we may have previously said, we actually would love to hear from you. Share your personal favorites of the contenders, tell all your friends, go follow the Instagram, and get ready for the start of the Film Bracket. Goodbye, everyone.
What's the matter? Lives flashing before your eyes? I'm vengeance.
You don't think I'm a bad person.
All I think is that I love you.
What was your favorite part?